Alright guys, if you guys didn't see the last few videos, go check them out right now, right this second. And we're also going to do a Stuck to States gameplay. Let's start.
Charlotte's Web. We're on Chapter 5, Charlotte. The night seemed long. Wilbur's stomach was empty and his mind was full. And when your stomach is empty and your mind is full, it's always hard to sleep. A dozen times during the night, Wilbur woke and stared into blackness, listening to the sounds, trying to figure out what time it was. A barn is never perfectly quiet. Even at midnight, there's usually something stirring. The first time he woke, he heard Templeton gnawing a hole in the grain bin. Templeton's teeth scraped loudly against the wood and made it quite a racket. That crazy rat, thought Wilbur. Why does he always have to stay up at night, grinding his clashers and destroying people's property? Why can't he just go to sleep, like any decent animal? The second time Wilbur woke, he heard the goose turning on her nest and chuckling to herself. "What time is it?" whispered Wilbur to the goose. "Probably obbly about 11:30, said the goose. Why aren't you asleep, Wilbur?" "Too many things on my mind," said Wilbur. "Well," said the goose, "that's not my trouble. I have nothing at all on my mind, and I have too many things under my behind. Have you ever tried to sleep while sitting on 8 eggs?" "No," replied Wilbur. "I suppose it is uncomfortable. How long does it take a goose egg to hatch?" Approximately 30 days, all told," answered the goose, "but I cheat a little. On warm afternoons, I put a little straw over the eggs and go out for a walk." Wilbur yawned and went back to sleep. In his dreams, he heard again a voice saying, "I'll be a friend to you. Go to sleep. You'll see me in the morning." About half an hour before dawn, Wilbur woke and listened. The barn was still dark. The sheep lay motionless. Even the goose was quiet. Overhead, the main floor, nothing stirred. The cows were resting. The horse dozed. Templeton had quit work and gone off somewhere on an errand. The only sound was the slight scraping noise of the rooftop. There was a weather vane swung back and forth. Wilbur loved the barn, and it was like this, calm, quiet, waiting for light. Day is almost here, he thought. Through a small window, a faint gleam appeared. One by one, stars went out. Wilbur could see the goose a few feet away. She sat with the head tucked under a wing. Then he could see the sheep and the lambs, the sky lightening. "Oh, beautiful day it is here, too, at last. Today I shall find my friend." Wilbur looked everywhere. He searched his pen thoroughly. He examined the window ledge, stared up at the ceiling, but he saw nothing new. Finally, he decided he'd have to speak up. He hated to break the lovely stillness of dawn by using his voice, but he couldn't think of any other way to locate the mysterious new friend who was nowhere to be seen. So Wilbur cleared his throat. "Attention, please," he said in a loud, firm voice. "Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly make himself or herself known by giving an appropriate sign or signal?" Wilbur paused and listened, and all the other animals lifted their heads and stared at him. Wilbur blushed, but he was determined to get in touch with his unknown friend. "Attention, please," he said. "I will repeat the message. Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly speak up? Please tell me where you are, if you are my friend." The sheep looked at each other in disgust. "Stop your nonsense, Wilbur," said the oldest sheep. "If you have a new friend here, you're probably disturbing the rest. And the quickest way to spoil a friendship is to wake everybody up in the morning before he is ready. How can you be sure your friend is an early riser?" "I beg everyone's pardon, Wilbur," whispered Wilbur. "I didn't mean to be objectionable." He laid down meekly in a manure facing the door. He did not know it, but his friend was very near, and the old sheep was right. The friend was still asleep. Soon, Loverly appeared with slops for breakfast. Wilbur rushed out, ate everything in a hurry, and licked the trough. The sheep moved off the lane, and the gander waddled along behind them, pulling grass. And then, just as Wilbur was settling down for his morning nap, he heard again the thin voice that had addressed him the night before. "Salutations," said the voice. Wilbur jumped to his feet. What?" he cried. "Salutations," repeated the voice. "What are they? What are you?" screamed Wilbur. "Please, please, tell me, where are you? And what are salutations?" "Salutations are greetings," said the voice. "When I say salutations, it's just my fancy way of saying hello or good morning. Actually, it's a silly expression, and I'm surprised that I used it at all. As for my whereabouts, that's easy. Look up, here in the corner of the doorway. Here I am. Look, I'm waving." At last, Wilbur saw the creature that had spoken to him in such a kindly way. Stretched across the upper part of the doorway was a big spider web and hanging. See, look. From the top of the web, head down, a very large, gray spider. She was about the size of a gumdrop. How big is a gumdrop?
Like this big?
She had 8 legs, and she was waving one of them at Wilbur and in friendly greeting. "See me now?" she asked. "Oh, yes, indeed," said Wilbur. "Yes, indeed. How are you? Good morning. Salutations. Very pleased to meet you. And what's your name, please? May I have your name?" "My name," said the spider, "is Charlotte." "Charlotte what?" asked Wilbur eagerly. Charlotte A. Cavaca.
So this is where the name Charlotte's Web came from, because spiders make webs.
Clearly. But just call me Charlotte. "I think you're beautiful," said Wilbur. "Well, I am pretty," replied Charlotte. "There's no denying that. Almost all spiders are rather nice looking. I'm not as flashy as some, but I do. I wish I could see you, Wilbur, as clearly as you can see me." "Why can't you?" asked the pig. "I'm right here." "Yes, but I'm nearsighted," replied Charlotte. "I've always been dreadfully nearsighted. It's good in some ways, not so good in others. Watch me wrap up this fly." A fly had been crawling among Wilbur's trough and flown up and blundered into the lower parts of Charlotte's web.
Charlotte's Web!
And was
There's the title of the book.
And was tangled in the sticky threads. The fly was beating its wings furiously, trying to break loose and free itself. "First," said Charlotte, "I dive at him." She plunged headfirst towards the fly as she dropped a tiny silken thread unwound from her near arm. "Next, I wrap him up." She grabbed the fly, threw a few jets of silk around it, and rolled it over and over, wrapping it so it could not move. Wilbur watched in horror. He couldn't hardly believe what he was seeing, and although he detested flies, he was sorry for this one. "There," said Charlotte. "Now I knocked him out, so he'll be more comfortable." She bit the fly. "He can't feel a thing now," she remarked. "He'll be perfect breakfast for me." "You mean you eat flies?" gasped Wilbur. "Certain flies, bugs, grasshoppers, choice beetles, moss, butterflies."
Toys beetles. Hold up.
Choice beetles. Moths, butterflies, tasty cockroaches, gnats, midges, daddy longlegs, centipedes, mosquitoes, crickets, anything that is careless enough to get caught in my web. I have to live, don't I? "Why, yes, of course," said Wilbur. "Why do they taste good?" "Delicious. Of course, I don't really eat them. I drink them. I drink their blood. I love blood," said Charlotte. And her pleasant, thin voice grew even thinner and more pleasant. "Don't say that," groaned Wilbur. Please don't say things like that. Why not? It's true. And I have to say what's true. I'm not entirely happy about my diet of flies and bugs, but it's the way I'm made. A spider has to pick up living somehow or other. And I happen to be a trapper. I'm just naturally built. I naturally build a web and trap flies and other insects. My mother was a trapper before me. Her mother was a trapper before her. And our family has been trappers way back for thousands and thousands of years. We spiders have been laying for flies and bugs. It's a miserable inheritance, said Wilbur gloomily. He said because his new friend was so bloodthirsty. Yes, it is, agreed Charlotte, but I can't help it. I don't know how the first spider in the early days of the world happened to think up this fancy idea of spinning a web, but she did. It was clever of her, too. And since then, all of us spiders have had to work the same trick. It's not a bad pitch on the whole. It's cruel, replied Wilbur, who did not intend to argue out his position. It's cruel, replied Wilbur, who did not intend to be argued out of his position. Well, you can't talk, said Charlotte. You have your meals brought to you in a pail.
The book's over.
I don't know. You have your meals brought to you in a pail. Nobody feeds me. I have to get my own living. I live by my wits. I have to be sharp and clever, lest I go hungry. I have to think things out, catch what I can, take what comes. And it just so happens, my friend, that comes with flies, insects, and bugs. And furthermore, said Charlotte, shaking one of her legs, do you realize that if I didn't catch bugs and eat them, bugs would increase and multiply and get so numerous that they destroy the earth, wiping out everything? What did you say?
Wiping out everything?
Mm-hmm. Really, said Wilbur. I don't want that to happen.
Including us, phones.
Everything. I wouldn't want that to happen. Perhaps your web is a good thing after all. The goose has been listening to this conversation, chuckling to herself. There are a lot of things Wilbur doesn't know about life, she thought. He's really very innocent little pig, she thought. He's really very innocent little pig. He doesn't even know what's going to happen to him around Christmas time. He has no idea that Mr. Zuckerman and Mr. Loverly are plotting to kill him. And the goose raised herself.
Kill him? What?
Yes, no kidding. And the goose raised herself a bit and poked her eggs a little further under her so that they would receive the full heat from her warm body and soft feathers. Charlotte stood quietly over the fly, preparing to eat it. Wilbur lay down and closed his eyes. He was tired from a wakeful night and from the excitement of meeting someone for the first time. A breeze brought him the smell of clover, a sweet-smelling world beyond his fence. Well, he thought, I have a new friend, all right. But what a gamble friendship is. Charlotte is a fierce, brutal, scheming, bloodthirsty, everything I don't like. How could I learn?
Let's move places.
How could I learn to like her, even though she's pretty?
Let's move places.
Okay. Of course, clever. Wilbur is merely suffering the doubts and fears that will often go to finding a new friend. It's time to discover that he was mistaken about Charlotte. Underneath her rather bold and cruel exterior, she had a kind heart, and she was to prove loyal and true to the very end. All right. So next chapter is going to be chapter 6, Summer Days.
Okay, now we're going to do a Stack the States gameplay.
Cool.
Alright guys, we're going to play Stack the States.
Stack the States!
Okay. Just watch her play.
Set. Go!
Which state is Oregon? Ay, caramba. Why'd you leave? You're the one who said, let's play Stack the States.
Oh.
The flag.
Illinois! It's that Illinois one! Wait, let's do faces.
How did you do that?
You just click that button up there.
How do I turn this on? There we go.
Look, put your face in the face cam. No,
You
not
too.
me. No, I have my patch on.
Okay.
I don't want to see
New Jersey touches which state?
It doesn't touch New Hampshire. We didn't drive through New Jersey. We didn't fly through New Jersey when we went to New Hampshire.
Which flag? This one?
The Texas. The Texas.
All right. Well, I guess I'm not playing anymore. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And make sure you pay attention to chapter 6 tomorrow.
No. We're not ending this video yet. The one that talks about Ireland. No!
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
I can't believe that happened. What happened? Why did it do that?
Do what?
It fell down.
Because you didn't stack it correctly.
Oh my goodness, I'm not very good at this, am I?
Alright guys, see you later.